Every time I revisit Sengoku 3, I'm reminded of how quietly different this game is compared to other Neo Geo beat-em-ups. It doesn't get talked about as often as some of the bigger names, yet it always leaves a strong impression once I spend time with it. Going back to it now, I'm not just looking at it through nostalgia. I want to know if its combat, pacing, and design still feel engaging, and whether it can still stand alongside modern action games that have built on similar ideas. From the moment the game begins, Sengoku 3 feels more grounded and deliberate than many arcade beat-em-ups. The movement immediately stands out. Characters feel heavier, more physical. Every step, every jump, every attack has weight behind it. This isn't a game about mindless button mashing. It demands intention. I can't just rush forward swinging wildly and expect to survive. Positioning, timing, and spacing matter far more than they do in most games from the same era. One of the first things I notice is how refined the combat system feels. Sengoku 3 introduces mechanics that push it beyond the typical beat-em-up formula. Dodge rolls, combo chains, launchers, and air juggles all come together to create a system that rewards skill and experimentation. The more I play, the more I realize how much freedom the game gives me in how I approach combat. I'm not locked into a single strategy. I can play aggressively, defensively, or somewhere in between. The character roster plays a big role in this. Each character feels distinct, not just in appearance, but in how they move and fight. Some characters excel at fast combos and aerial control, while others rely on heavier hits and crowd management. Switching characters genuinely changes how the game feels, which adds a lot of replay value. Even today, this level of differentiation holds up extremely well. As I progress through the stages, the level design starts to show its strength. Sengoku 3 doesn't overwhelm you with constant enemy spam. Instead, it focuses on well-placed encounters that test your understanding of the combat system. Enemies aren't just obstacles, they're challenges that force you to react and adapt. Some rush you down aggressively, others hang back and punish careless movement. Learning how each enemy behaves becomes essential, especially as the difficulty ramps up. Visually, Sengoku 3 is impressive in a way that feels understated. The sprite work is detailed and fluid, with animations that sell every hit and every movement. Characters move with a sense of momentum that makes combat feel physical and grounded. Environments are varied and atmospheric, moving through historical and supernatural settings that give the game a unique identity. Even now, the art direction holds up because it prioritizes clarity and consistency over flashy effects. One thing I really appreciate is how readable everything is during combat. Even when multiple enemies are on screen, I can always tell what's happening. Attacks are clearly animated, hitboxes feel fair, and visual clutter is kept to a minimum. This is especially important in a game that emphasizes precise timing and positioning. Sengoku 3 respects the player by making sure failures feel deserved rather than random. The pacing of the game is another area where it shines. Stages flow smoothly from one encounter to the next, building tension without dragging things out. There's a rhythm to the action that feels deliberate. The game gives you just enough time to regroup before pushing you into the next challenge. From a modern perspective, this pacing feels surprisingly refined. It doesn't waste your time, and it doesn't rely on artificial difficulty to extend playtime. Boss fights are a major highlight. These encounters test everything you've learned up to that point. Bosses are aggressive, durable, and capable of punishing mistakes quickly. But they're also well designed. Their attack patterns are readable, and victory comes from learning and adapting rather than brute force. Defeating a boss in Sengoku 3 feels genuinely satisfying because it requires mastery of the combat system, not just endurance. The soundtrack complements the experience perfectly. The music blends traditional themes with energetic rhythms that match the intensity of the combat. It adds atmosphere without overpowering the action. Sound effects are crisp and impactful, making every hit feel substantial. Together, the audio and visuals create an experience that still feels immersive and cohesive. Difficulty is where Sengoku 3 really separates itself. It's not an easy game, and it doesn't pretend to be. The challenge feels intentional and skill-based. Mistakes are punished, but the game always gives you the tools to improve. As I spend more time with it, I can feel myself getting better, stringing together longer combos, managing crowds more effectively, and taking fewer unnecessary hits. That sense of progression is incredibly rewarding. Co-op play elevates Sengoku 3 even further. Playing with another person introduces a whole new layer of strategy. Coordinating attacks, managing enemy groups, and supporting each other during tough encounters makes the game feel fresh and dynamic. It's not just chaotic fun, it's cooperative combat that rewards communication and teamwork. Even compared to modern co-op action games, Sengoku 3 holds its own. What really stands out to me during repeated playthroughs is how well the game's mechanics have aged. Many beat-em-ups rely heavily on nostalgia, but Sengoku 3 stands on strong design fundamentals. Its combat system wouldn't feel out of place in a modern indie action game. In fact, many contemporary titles draw from the same principles: tight controls, skill-based combat, and meaningful player choice. Of course, the game isn't without its limitations. It doesn't have the spectacle or sheer enemy density of some other arcade classics. Its more grounded approach might feel slower to players who prefer non-stop chaos, and its mechanics require time and patience to fully appreciate. But these aren't flaws as much as they are design choices. Sengoku 3 knows what it wants to be, and it commits fully to that vision. By the time I finish a full run, I'm always left with the urge to jump back in. I want to try a different character, experiment with new combo routes, or simply play cleaner than I did before. That replayability is one of the strongest indicators that a game still holds up, and Sengoku 3 delivers it effortlessly. So is Sengoku 3 still a must-play? I'd say yes, especially for anyone who values depth and precision in their action games. It may not have the instant accessibility of some beat-em-ups, but it rewards those willing to invest the time to learn its systems. It's a game built on strong fundamentals, thoughtful design, and a respect for player skill. Revisiting Sengoku 3 today, it's clear that it was ahead of its time in many ways. Its combat depth, pacing, and presentation still feel relevant, and in some areas they rival modern titles. It's not just a historical curiosity, it's a genuinely excellent action game that still deserves attention. For players looking for a beat-em-up with substance, challenge, and lasting appeal, Sengoku 3 remains absolutely worth playing.